Oh, hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cardwell's Cauldrons here at Geektopia Island. I'm Cardwell.
And I'm Kevin.
And today, we're doing another Pioneer deck because Theros is on the brink and there's no reason to make any other decks at all at the moment. Because I feel like Standard's a little bit stale. But with Theros, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
Yeah. So, we decided to make a Pioneer deck that's really horrible. But it should be fun. I think it should be fun.
It's going to be fun, nonetheless.
It's going to be fun. It has one of my top 5 favorite cards of all time. And that's, well, before we get into it, go on and remind you that we do have a Patreon. It only takes $1 to support us, and we love you very much for it. And for that link, it'll be down below. It'll support us, keep us going, and hopefully evolve us into something brand new and amazing. Now, the deck's name is called Piomill because it's in Pioneer. And that's as genius as this deck can get. So, it's a blue-black Dimir mill deck with the star of the card deck being Sphinx's Tutelage. And if you don't know what that is, it's one of the best mill cards ever made in like recent years, pretty much. And it's a 3-drop enchantment, 2 and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. If they're both non-land cards, they share the same color. Repeat this process. Now, that's pretty insane. And then, of course, you can pay 6, 1, a 5, and a blue, and draw a card, discard a card. So just trigger it. So obviously, late game it triggers itself. And with, I don't think there's many like triple or quad colors, and if so, there's gold cards. Therefore, they'll share the same color. And you're just like, okay, no, just keep milling until that happens. It's my favorite, and you're going to draw cards anyway, so you might as well make the best use of it.
Yeah, might as well mill them as best you can.
What's the best of drawing cards and then their library leaving? It works.
First creature we got is the Merfolk Secretkeeper. Is 1 blue for a 0/4. It's got an adventure mode, which is Adventure Deeper. It is 1 blue sorcery. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. So you play the adventure part, it hits the graveyard, then it auto removes. Yep. And you can play it as a creature. So it's a mill card that gives you a blocker.
Exactly. And the worst thing about most mill decks is like all you draw are like 3 lands in a row that are like mill 4 or mill 5, and it like almost gets you nowhere. But this one you have a blocker to help you, save yourself.
Yeah.
Which is nice. The next we are going hard with this mill deck and playing Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. It's 1 in a blue, 0/2. You can tap, draw a card, and then discard a card. If there's 5 or more in your graveyard, then you get to flip Jace, or it gets transformed or whatever. Comes into Jace Telepath Unbound. So you +1, up to 1 target creature gets -2, and until your next turn. Or you -3, you may cast target instant sorcery spell from the graveyard this turn. If the card would be from the graveyard, exile instead, which is very what we need. And then if you get to it, -9. You get emblem says whenever you cast a spell, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library in the graveyard. So, if you ultimate, then you get to do whatever you want to do with him.
Yeah. But even if you don't, you just, whenever you tap, draw a card, discard a card, you're already getting value from that.
Yeah.
And then if you have his tutelage in play, you mill them too.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. So you just play him turn 2, play tutelage turn 3, tap, and then there you go.
And the cycle begins.
Yeah, the cycle begins.
Next up is Champion of Wits, a blue and 2 for a 2/1 wizard. Whenever he enters the battlefield, you may draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. And then Eternalize is 2 blue and 5. Exile this card from the graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 zombie with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery.
Yep.
So he just helps you because you just draw a lot of cards for 3 mana.
Yeah, and he's a blocker, and that's all you care to do.
Again, triggering tutelage 4 times.
Yep. And it's just insane of how a small little dude gets there, and then you block, and then it's all good.
Yeah.
Alright, the first spell is Drowned in the Loch. It's one of the newer cards, actually. It's a blue and a black. Choose one. Counter target spell with converted mana cost equal to the number of cards in the opponent's graveyard. Sounds good. And then destroy target creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of cards in the controller's graveyard. So, you're able to kill something big dude late game, or just immediately sorry, kind of spell for 2.
Next up is another enchantment, Drowned Secrets, a blue and 1. Whenever you cast a blue spell, target player puts the top 2 of their library into the graveyard. Yep. So, your extra spells that draw you cards, they get to mill extra 2 cards.
Exactly. And it just keeps on going with that. The next one is Mind Grind. I always love this card. So X blue black, Sorcery. When each opponent reveals cards from the top of his or her library until they reveal X land cards, then puts all cards revealed this way into his or her graveyard, and it can't be 0. So with this, that's just insane because it gets rid of all the lands that you could possibly get, which also helps Tutelage because if they do a card in a land, it just cancels it out. So if you get their lands out of the way, then that's just more cards to mill. And with Jace, you get to -3 and cast this again for a bigger X.
That's pretty silly, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is Search for Azcanta. It is a blue and 1 legendary enchantment, and it starts at the beginning of your upkeep. Look at the top card of your deck. If you may you may put it into the graveyard.
Yep.
Then if you have 7 or more cards in the graveyard, you may transform Search of Azcanta.
Which becomes Azcanta the Sunken Ruin. So you can tap, add a blue, or you can pay 3, look at the top 4 cards of your library, and reveal a non-land, a non-creature spell, and put it in your hand, and the rest at the bottom of your library. So therefore you just get the mill cards that you need, or the enchantments, or whatever. So it's very, very powerful land, for sure. And the next spell is Tyrants Scorned. It's a blue and a black, also one of the new ones. Instant, destroy target creature with converted amount, cost 3 or less, so the early games. Or return target creature to its owner's hand, bounce, for basically tempo reasons.
Yeah. 2 mana, you get to kill or bounce a dude, and you don't care which one.
It's just good.
Next up is Ashiok the Dream Render. She is a 1 and 2 black-blue hybrid.
Yep.
And legendary planeswalker. Spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause their controller to search their library. And then -1, target player puts the top 4 of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard.
Yep.
So she helps you mill, and then in Pioneer she helps you not search. So like all the little silly cards that search, you don't get to have them.
You don't get to do it. I know it's a no-bow with Drowned in Loch, but it's still just good. Like 4, so essentially you can do 20 cards with this one card if it doesn't get damaged. And yeah, that's 1/3 of a person's deck. So to be able just to keep on doing it, for sure. Now the cute card of this is called Dark Deal. It's 2 and a black. Each player discards all cards in his or her hand, then draws that many -1. So therefore, Tutelage, hopefully you have 4 cards, you're just like, alright, well, dump this, draw 3, then mill, and then they also drew whatever they had, so that's milling them in second, and then Tutelage does more for each card that you drew. So
it gets pretty silly.
It's just a silly giving card for that, and it's just really good, for sure.
The next enchantment is Fraying Sanity. It is a blue and 2 for an enchant player. At the beginning of each instep, enchanted player puts the top X from their library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards that were put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn.
Yep.
So again, if you have this and Tutelage, their life is bad because Tutelage will trigger at least once or twice.
Yep.
So you're at least going to get 4 to 8 cards easily.
Yeah.
Anywhere in that number.
And if they just stack, if you're able to just do this, so the main dream would be Tutelage. Well, Jace, of course, turn 2, Tutelage turn 3, and turn 4 you draw, so you mill, then you play Fraying Sanity, then you Jace, and then that's even more, because Fraying Sanity counts the whole turn. So even on your first draw step with Tutelage, it still counts that number when you play Sanity, because at the end of the turn it checks that, then it mills more.
Yeah.
And just after that. And that also goes with them, like if you kill their creature or counter their spell, that counts as one of those cards. So, I don't know. It's just...
I think it's super good. Like, I remember playing against Fraying Sanity, and if you have one, it's rough. You want to get rid of it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Because it hurts you so much.
Exactly. And if they're just casting spells, it counts towards them too. So, it gets there really quick. And if you just have a double of any of those enchantments, then good luck. Yeah. Enjoy that. But with that brings us to the lands, and we have some special lands, of course. And the first new land is Castle Vantress. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control island. Tap for an island, blue mana, but you can pay 2, tap blue, tap scry 2. Just that's it.
Seems good.
It's just really good late game to just see what you can draw for sure. And then of course we have all dual ones that we have. So we have Choked Estuary. Comes into play unless you reveal an island or swamp, and then it comes to play untapped, and then taps for a blue or a black. Drowned Catacombs, which is just the buddy land, blue and black. Sunken Hollow, which is just if you have it's a caffeine lands or whatever they are. So it comes in play untapped as long as it's 3 or less lands. And then Watery Grave is because it's a shock land and you might as well just have it.
Yeah, and you need the blue flags.
Yeah, and of course we have the islands and swamps too. But, you know, those should hopefully just work out for you. And only have 23 because there is quite a bit of card draw, so hopefully you can just get there with the lands anyway.
And really, most of the cards in this deck cost under 3 mana, so it's not really a huge deal.
Yeah, not too much of a bad deal. And of course, we don't have sideboards because we don't know your local meta, and plus the meta of the game could change very rapidly with Pioneer because there's so many decks. So we just have honorable mentions, which is stuff I wanted to put in the deck, but we'll just put on the side for maybe sideboard. And one of them is Mission Briefing. It's 2 blue, instant. You surveil 2, then choose an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. If that would be put in your graveyard this turn, exile instead. So for 2 blue instant speed to do that, you can do this, and you can do it with Mind Grind as well, or Tyrants Scorned or Drowned Loch, you know, stuff that just helps clear the way.
And I mean, it's kind of like a Snapcaster Mage, not nearly as good, but it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the next honorable mention we got is Thief of Sanity. It is a blue, black, and 1 for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 of that player's library, exile 1 of them face down, then put the rest in the graveyard. For as long as that card removed it remained exiled, you may look at it, cast it, and spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell.
Yep. It's so powerful. Like, I don't know why it fell off standard, because everyone knows once you get hit by this once, it's almost game over.
Yeah.
Because they take your best card, and then they get to use it against you at any time they want. So basically draw a card that you want and mill at the same time, and it's just good.
Yeah, it gets real disgusting real quickly.
Yeah, I would play this, of course, against other control players, because for you to get their counter spells and their control is just the best.
Yeah, it feels bad.
Yeah, it feels real bad. But with that is Piomill. That is the mill and Pioneer, and I'm sure it can always just get better if we do some more research at every single card that's there. But at the moment, this is what I enjoy. It's a little expensive, but it should be fun.
Yeah.
With that, hopefully you enjoyed your stay here at Geektopia Island, and you have a good day. Bye.
Later. Also, guys, I just remind y'all to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and if you want to keep up to date on all our future content, make sure you click that bell. It'll give you all the notifications you need.
With that, we'd like to go ahead and give a big thank you to all our fans that support us through the year, and especially our Patreon support people. We do like to give a shout out to our Mythic and Above supporters, and that would be Dwayne Higgs. Thank you very much. We love you.